Dr. Farhat Asif is an award-winning researcher, policy practitioner, and founder of the Institute of Peace and Diplomatic Studies in Pakistan. With over 17 years of experience in international relations and public diplomacy, she has led numerous initiatives fostering dialogue, peace building, and global partnerships. She also serves as the editor-in-chief of the Diplomatic Insight and heads various strategic platforms connecting academia, civil society, and governments across regions. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Farhat Asif.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nicoletta, and this gives me an immense honor, privilege, and pleasure to be with you today. Dr. Nicoletta, also Patricia, Honorable Ladonna, mayors, at the very outset, I would like to deeply gratitude to you, all of you, for organizing this important Fourth World Protocol Matters conference today. And it is also a privilege and honor for me to address this August gathering, and people are joining us from different parts of the world. Your vision as a combined woman is remarkable. Your dedication, vision, and tireless efforts making this conference happen is outstanding and I guess historic. Your commitment, Dr. Hosso, and Dr. Divine and Mayers orchestrating together as women, building together as women gives me more warmth and hope for the future. Dr. Nicoletta, one of the things that I would like to share with you, and of course, acknowledge your visionary leadership there in World Protocol School and World Protocol magazine as well. I have looked at your vision and how you integrate these disciplines into a mainstream international dialogue, created invaluable contribution and opportunities for young people who are aspiring to be young diplomats tomorrow. Your pioneering efforts, in fact, inspire both seasoned diplomats and the young people who are really want to make a change in their lives and of course others' lives as well. And your commitment enhancing such an initiative is not only a model for the leadership but also is a contribution towards global peace and sustainable collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, this fourth World Protocol Matter Conference has grown as I have witnessed myself as that since inception, responding thoughtfully to the evolving needs of the emerging dynamics of international diplomacy and global governance. This year, in the fourth year of the conference, as mentioned earlier by the colleagues and organizers, the commitment of these exceptional women leaders, coupled with the diligent contributions of the respective teams, and created a unique and unparalleled intellectual forum where we can all jump in and help and create something meaningful. The theme of this year's conference, as I always looked at it, is as a protocol, as a soft power, a tool to support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Is not only indeed a timely, but also critical. It underscores also the collective acknowledgement for all of us that how diplomacy and protocol does not only merely a ceremonial things, but these are in fact powerful tools that enable nations and institutions to build and strengthen relationships. Coming from a region, South Asia, where currently we are witnessing a potential escalation of war, protocol and diplomacy does matter. As we embark on the conversation today, it is essential to ground our discussions on soft power, and someone that we want to remember is Dr. Joseph Nye, whose passing has profound loss to the global academic community, including ours here in South Asia. Nye has scholarship that has shaped what we are witnessing today. Soft power, the ability to attract and co-opt rather than coerce or impose, which is remain as a central pillar of our discussions in 21st century. Nye has remained a legend in international affairs and taught us that the nation do not always need to achieve their objectives through military means or economic incentives. Rather, we can influence policy through culture, political ideals, and our foreign policy engagements, and where diplomacy and specifically protocol comes into focus. And protocol, of course, often sometimes rigidly mistaken, is considered as an important tool for framework of communication, respect, and intercultural recognition. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, soft power is not a passive force, it is in fact persuasive, strategic, and purposeful. Yet, unlike hard power, it does not provoke resistance, of course. The link between soft power and protocol is also very important to understand. Protocol facilitates dialogue in moments where language, history, and politics diverge. And as I said, it is very important for us all here in South Asia to learn more from colleagues who are embarking on these disciplines. And when women led within this space as protocol professionals, diplomats, negotiators, peace builders, this brings more depth to the soft power. I'll be speaking more about women-led diplomacy as myself, who has spent 17 years working at the intersection of diplomacy, development, and storytelling, using protocol not simply to represent, but also to build, and to not merely to greet, but also to connect and make those lasting connections work. In my academic and professional training from Islamabad to Harvard and INSEAD, one thing which has been remaining very clear that the world is ready for new models of leadership. Women-led diplomacy is not a kind of a footnote, but it is actually shaping the main narrative. And protocol, traditionally seen as a rigid, something very different in our hands, it is more relational, it is more representative, and it is more real. From observing very high level visits, engaging at the bilateral and multilateral dialogue myself, I've seen that when women design and lead protocols, something remarkable always happens. It becomes more inclusive, empathetic, human, and more sustainable. In today's world, diplomacy is no longer confined to the corridors of the powers or in the foreign offices, but it has led into more depending more how you build the credibility and how you build the authority. Women-led diplomacy brings a distinct set of values approaches that align naturally with the core elements of the soft power. I guess we can say that women are the soft power of the world. Women in leadership, particularly in diplomatic and protocol roles, often bring very deep sense of respect, mindset, and capacity for the conflict resolution that is grounded in listening and inclusion. These attributes are important and based on decades of experience of the people. And when we look at the peace negotiation and global numbers, we see that when women are part of the any conflict resolution or conflict dialogues, they sustain more as compared if they are absent. Empathy is primarily very important aspect in women diplomats. This approach is invaluable in negotiation when understanding perspective and motivation of others determine is kind of challenging, or it depends on how successful that goes. Women leadership is also about zero-sum power games and more about collective advancement if you precisely look at the spirit of the Sustainable Development Goals. Inclusivity is also another strength that women-led diplomacy always seen as sharing forward. Another very important aspect is that the women remain resilient, but also they exhibit to navigate the structure or social barriers together with their fellow colleagues. When we assess the leadership of the today's trades, SDGs also become very important, and it is also very much aligned to the SDGs. For example, Goal 5, which calls gender equality, and then Goal 16, which is like, for example, emphasis on the peace. And then Goal 17, which is again global partnership. And when you combine and look at them, it is very much clear that women-led leadership has always been not only simple, but also it embodies the soft power of today. And leadership primarily, in doing so, it offers global community a more ethical, effective, and sustainable model goals of engagement. And also, one thing which is very much important is that we cannot shy away from the reality. When most people imagine a diplomat, they see a man in a suit. This realization is a bitter truth, but at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to remain largely to invite women to be at the leadership positions. Framing diplomacy in patriarchal norms emanates from hierarchy, control, and power dynamics, ladies and gentlemen. And despite women have participated in the conflict resolution, we still have a long way to go. And as I shared with you earlier, that not only women have shared the roles in the conflict resolution and make the peace resolution and peace negotiation sustainable for longer period of time, but we have also witnessed that the presence of women in legislative roles, effective governance reforms, and decision making can happen. Women make half of the sky and also half of the global population. Their leadership resilience and natural empathy is unmatched and unparalleled. If we can utilize them better, then we can have more inclusive and equitable peace building. My practice, of course, over the time period at the Institute of Peace and Diplomatic Studies, and when I began putting a spotlight on women leaders globally through my initiative called Global Women Inside, a digital series where I interviewed with many global leaders, including Lama Gavi and many members of the European or Canadian parliamentarians, including from Pakistan. I have witnessed that the conversations that how women exercise influence through dialogue, respect, and cultural sensitivity. And at the IBDS, we also offer training programs, protocol on various aspects of the diplomacy. This has also shown with me is that when protocol is paired with women's natural strength in empathy and resilience, cross-cultural communication, it becomes a force multiplier for global cooperation. It is in these lived experience that Pakistan and globally, I always try to enable the women's agency and diplomatic leadership. And that is why the theme of this conference is deeply closer to me. When Dr. Nicoletta told me that I am invited for the speaker, without thinking anything, I said yes. And based on the experiences, of course, we women always support each other. Governments, multilateral institutions, especially those led by the women, have more passionate experiences and they have the results that are shown by the numbers across the world. And as I urge here, which is very much important, I would like all of us to remember that women led diplomacy, when combined with the symbolism or protocol, realizing sustainable goals will only be possible. And I encourage every institution who is here, either a diplomat or who is not, to encourage to learn more about this aspect of presence of women at the tables. And since I would also like to share with you the concrete steps, one of the important things is that at the very beginning of the young scholars or students who are there in the departments of international affairs, I think protocols and diplomacy should not only be taught as a theoretical paradigm, but also as a practical way of approaching things. Through this way, we can only foster forward the women leadership and also understanding about the protocol and diplomacy. And before I conclude, allow me to once again thank my very dear Dr. Nicoletta Hosso, Honorable Patricia Kenneth Devine, and Miss Ladonna as well for the vision, for the leadership, and unwavering commitment to elevating the field of diplomacy and protocol. Your work is not only building a global movement, but also very much inspiring. And this gives me an immense honor to speak to all of you. And I also would like to thank my fellow speakers who will be contributing meaningfully in this conversation forward. Thank you so much, everyone.